Last time we discussed 60?
Yes.
The senses are so strong and impetuous. Okay. Let us read the 61st first and then we'll discuss with some introduction. Somebody wants to read the verse?
126. 60?
61, right?
One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. Purport. The highest concept of yoga perfection is Krishna consciousness, is clearly explained in this verse. And unless one is Krishna conscious, it is not at all possible to control the senses. As cited above, the great sage Durvasa Muni picked a quarrel with Maharaja Ambaresha, and Durvasa Muni unnecessarily became angry out of pride and therefore could not check his senses. On the other hand, the king, although not as powerful as Yogi, as the sage, but a devotee of the Lord, silently tolerated all the sage's injustices and thereby emerged victorious. The king was able to control his senses because of the following qualification as mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavad. King Ambarisha fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, engaged his words in describing the adorn of the Lord. His hands is cleansing the temple of the Lord. His ears is hearing the pastimes of the Lord. His eyes is seeing the form of the Lord. His body is touching the body of the devotee. His nostrils is smelling the fragrance of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. His tongue is tasting the tulsi leaves offered to him. His leg is traveling to the holy place where his temple is situated. His head is offering obeisance upon the Lord, and his desires is fulfilling the desires of the Lord. And all these qualifications made him fit to become a Matpara devotee of the Lord. The word Matpara is most significant in this connection. How one can become Matpara is described in the life of Maharaja Ambarisha. Sri Baladeva Vidya Bhushana, a great scholar and Acharya in the line of the Matpara, remarks Mat Bhakti Prabhavena Sarvendriya Vijaya Purvika Swatama Drushti Su Labeti Bhavaha. The senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of the devotional service to Krishna. Also, the example of fire is sometimes given. As a blazing fire burns everything within a room, Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the yogi, burns up all kinds of impurities. The Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu and not meditation on the void. The so-called yogis who meditate on something other than the Vishnu form simply waste their time in a vain search after some phantasmagoria. We have to be Krishna conscious, devoted to personality of Godhead. This is the aim of the real yoga.
Okay. So, this section, these last few verses and the coming verses, Krishna is answering Arjuna's third question. So we go back to verse 54. We see that Arjuna has asked a question. How does he sit? Meaning one who has found divine consciousness. How does he sit? And we explained, he is not wondering, does he sit like this, does he sit like that? No, that he's trying to understand when one controls their senses, what is the mentality of that person? Are they agitated because they are restricting their senses? Are they disturbed? Are they happy? What is the mentality of that person? Because we know the central theme of this section is to control the senses. But initially, anybody likes to control the senses? No, they don't want to control the senses. So when Arjuna wants to know, okay, if this Sthitta Prajna that Krishna described in the 53rd verse, if this is some great position, then let me first understand, okay, if I'm going to control my senses, what will my state of mind be? If we're going to be agitated and disturbed and anxious, anybody wants to control their senses? No. So, this question is being answered. Now, we see in these last few verses that the senses are very strong. Right? How strong?
Venomous.
Like venomous serpents. So that's one example given. What else? What happens to most people who are trying to control their senses? They could not. Right? What happens?
They always think about the opposite.
They think about what they are trying to restrain themselves from. Right? So it's very difficult. Very difficult. Krishna says that even a man of discrimination who is trying to control the senses, they're so strong and impetuous that they carry the mind away. Right? So last time we discussed, in society as a whole, so if we look at society, if everybody had their senses controlled, what things would not occur in society?
No crimes.
No crimes. Why are crimes a result of lack of sense control?
Yes, they go in agitation.
What is a crime? Take an example of a crime and explain how does lack of sense control lead to that crime? What?
Lust, greed,
They want something that they don't have.
And then what do?
right?
Any means to get what they want.
Any means to get what they want, including
Stealing,
theft.
murder, theft.
Stealing, murder, theft. The root cause of that is sense. I want something so bad that I'm willing to break the laws to get it. Okay, so some crimes. What else would be missing in society? Or what else do we see in society that is a result of lack of sense control?
Perfect world.
Huh?
Perfect world.
Perfect?
World.
Huh. And keep going?
Like without no greed, no anger. If everything is controlled, sense control.
Okay. So
No greed.
So without sense control, we see anger. Right? Where does anger come from? Lack of sense control.
These many countries, these many continents.
Why do we get angry?
If the thing's not happening,
Yeah. If things not happening that
desire.
I want. Understand? When something doesn't happen that I want, I get angry. Now, imagine if everybody said, okay, it doesn't matter what I want, whatever Krishna wants is best. Then will there be any anger in the world?
No.
How many good things manifest from anger in this world? Nothing. Nothing. At least what we call uncontrolled anger. There is a controlled anger that has some utility, but uncontrolled anger. Right? think about, domestic violence. Where does that originate from?
Anger.
And that comes from
Pride,
pride, which comes from,
lust,
which comes from
Desires.
Greed, lust,
lack of sense control. Right? So we can very simply analyze that if we all had controlled senses, would this world be a better place or a worse place to live?
bliss.
It would be a better place. But there's a but to that, right? What is our doubt, our concern? Okay, so with sense control, all these negative things would not manifest, right? But is that sufficient for us to pursue sense control?
No.
What do we need?
We need to
Actively
practice
engage.
senses.
Okay, we need to actively engage, but what are we searching for? Happiness. So if sense control is going to remove all the negativity in the world, but I'm not going to be happy, then still it doesn't work. Understand? So sense control, if it leads to my unhappiness, okay, I'll take all the turbulence in the world, but at least I get to enjoy myself, right? So there must be an enjoyment principle in order for sense control to actually be a viable path for us. Understand? So we can remove the negative, but sense control also must lead to a positive. Does that make sense? Just like in bhakti, we have some negative rules, right? No meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, gambling. But those negative rules, that's not bhakti. Bhakti is engagement in worship of Krishna. Chanting, association, reading books, honoring prasadam. This is bhakti. Right? So the rules, the negative is not actual. You can be free of these four, but still not meditating on Krishna. So similarly, sense control, it will certainly eliminate so much travesty in this world. But still, sense control has to come with some enjoyment. Otherwise, it's not practical. Right? It has to come with some... Otherwise, anybody's going to sign up for that plan? Right? So this is why Arjuna's question is so brilliant. Because he's asking, what is the nature of a person who controls their senses? If they're agitated and wishing they could do this and wishing they could do that and feeling unhappy and unsatisfied and unsatiated, then who's going to want to do that? Certainly not me, at least. Nobody. Right? So we'll have to evaluate what that sense control looks like. Right? So let's define now sense control. Because when we hear the word sense control, we actually come often to the wrong conclusion. So what does sense control mean?
It's not actual control, diverting our senses to the highest purpose.
Okay, so give me more now. Give me diverting the senses to a higher purpose. What does that mean?
Actively engaging Krishna consciousness, chanting,
Okay.
bhakti practices.
So actively engaging the senses in a higher purpose. So often when we think of control, we often think of shutting down the senses, stopping the senses. Is that what Krishna wants us to do? He is not saying don't see nice things, don't hear nice things, don't taste nice things. He's saying instead, you should hear, see, taste, touch things that are nicer than what you're doing today. Right? So spiritual life is about parandrishtva nivartate. If I am enjoying my senses materially, in some material activity, I'm enjoying going and watching movies. Okay? Now, how can I stop that activity? Is it easy? It's very difficult. Very, very difficult. Just like if you have a big car. You have a big car. Can you lift up that car? No. It's not possible, right? You don't have the muscles, the strength to lift up the car. But if you bring one hydraulic jack, now can you lift the car?
Yes.
Lots of effort. How many hands you need?
One hand.
Just one hand. And the car will lift. So what made lifting of the car possible? We all said that lifting a car was impossible. But lifting of the car became very easy. How? Because we had the power of hydraulics. Right? We had a tool. So if I sit there and keep trying to lift the car, that's foolish. It's not going to happen. I need some intelligence to know how to easily lift the car. And I go get one jack, and boom, it lifts. So we have to apply our intelligence to understand how to control the senses in a way that makes it easy and positive and pleasurable. So what is the only way in which we can control the senses? Prabhupada writes in the purport, there's only one way, commenting from Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. There's only one way to control the senses.
Fixing consciousness upon Krishna.
Only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna.
Only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna. What's the only way to pick up the car? By the drag. What's the only way to control the senses? By devotion. So something that's difficult, it becomes easy with the right tool. So how am I going to control my senses and stop watching movies? I have to engage in devotional service. Because when I engage in devotional service, there is this param drishto nivartate, the higher taste. And that higher taste will make the lower tastes become easy to let go. But just stopping one taste without exchanging it for something better, no thank you. No thanks. Right? So this sense control, it happens automatically, as Prabhupada said in last week's purport. As one engages in a higher taste. And this is Krishna's ultimate blessing. So nobody is saying you should control your senses and enjoy less. Who would do that? Krishna is saying you control your senses in order to enjoy more. Because if you really observe carefully, how happy is the world today? Everybody's full of bliss? It's miserable. The whole world today, nobody's controlling the senses. So we can objectively evaluate what is the result of not controlling the senses. Why is mental health at the lowest it's ever been today? Why are suicide rates the highest they've ever been? Divorce rates, highest they've ever been. Drug abuse, highest it's ever been. Violence, higher than it's ever been. Do we need more evidence? What is the result? I think I mentioned this survey came out last year. There was a survey. I think 180 countries were covered in this survey. And they asked simple question: are you happier today than you were 20 years ago? And the overwhelming response was no. This was not a religious survey. This was done by the World Health Organization, WHO, did this survey. I don't quote me on that, but it was some international organization. So this is the consequence of uncontrolled senses. It leads to some immediate enjoyment, right? Like I said, just like if you have a rash and you itch it, how does it feel?
Very delicious.
But what happens ultimately? More suffering, more itching. So this is the process. So Krishna says in this verse, one who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control. So there's two parts to this verse. One is we must restrain our senses. What does restrain our senses mean? Movie is running on TV, I go the other way. That's restraining the senses. Somebody offers me some food, it's not been offered to the Lord, I'm good. That's restraining the senses. Somebody offers us a chance to do some activity, let's go to the casino and gamble, I'm good. That's restraining the senses. It takes some discipline. Like anything we achieve success in life, you achieve it without some discipline, without some effort on our part? No. Then the lazy people say, oh, when Krishna wants me to control my senses, they'll control. That's garbage. We have to do our part. What is our part? Knowing right from wrong and staying disciplined. But then Krishna has to do his part too. And what is Krishna's part? Because Krishna says in the second part, fix his consciousness upon me. So this is the first verse in the Bhagavad Gita so far where Krishna is speaking about bhakti. Because bhakti means smarta bhavya satatam vishnu vishmurta vya najyatati sarva veda nishiddhastra etayor eva kinkaraha. Bhakti means to always remember Krishna and never forget him. All the rules of bhakti, they should be servants of these two principles. Always remember and never forget. So Krishna is talking about pure bhakti here. He's introduced the first time, 61st verse of the second chapter. Now Krishna is speaking about this highest topic. But thinking about Krishna, meditating on Krishna, so what is Krishna's part in the formula? I said, what is our part? What do we have to do? Restrain. Be disciplined. Disciplined. But that discipline has to be rewarded. And how does Krishna reward? When we meditate on Krishna, there is the experience of happiness and bliss and enjoyment. If Krishna did not reciprocate with that rasa, then what would be our motivation to do it? Nothing. So our part is to restrict the senses and focus on Krishna. And Krishna's responsibility is to reward that effort with the satisfaction. But if we try to think of Krishna while at the same time letting our senses roam, you know what that's like? Prabhupada says, trying to light a fire while at the same time pouring water on it. Is it going to work?
No.
They're counterproductive. So we have to do our part. And Krishna will do his part. And this is how one is assured success in controlling the senses. And success in controlling the senses will only come from enhanced happiness. If there is less happiness from restricting the senses, we'll go right back to uncontrolled, right? That's natural. Why would anybody give anything up for something of lesser value? Right? So, but we have to do our first part. And if we try to practice bhakti and let our senses continue to roll, it's like lighting a fire while pouring water on it. It won't work. It won't work. So that's why this is a beautiful verse, because there's two parts to it. One is our part, and one is Krishna's reciprocation. And if we follow that formula, it becomes easy. Because Durvasa Muni was what? What was the... who was Durvasa Muni? Huh?
Sage.
He was a sage. He was a mystic yogi. Very powerful mystic yogi. He had so many amazing powers. And who was Ambarish Maharaj? Devotee of the Lord. A bhakta. If you ask 100 people in India who was more powerful, Ambarish Maharaj or Durvasa Muni, who will say?
Immediately Durvasa Mahamuni.
Without hesitation. Don't you know? Durvasa Muni can go all the way to Vaikuntha Lok. He travels with 60,000 followers. He has given benedictions to everybody. So in this match, there was a match, right? Between Durvasa Muni and last time we discussed this pastime, right? Yes. Okay, so we won't discuss the pastime. Let's discuss the conclusions. So in this match between Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj, who was victorious?
Ambarish Maharaj.
Why? How do we know?
But because
Not why yet, but how do we know Ambarish Maharaj was victorious? Is it a matter of opinion or is it fact?
it's a factor.
Why is it a fact?
Because
At the end, Durvasa Muni fall down to the feet of
In the end, Durvasa Muni fell down at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj and said, "Please forgive me."
take back Sudarshan Chakra.
Do we need any more evidence? Who won in the battle? It was Ambarish Maharaj. Now, what was Ambarish Maharaj's strength?
Bhakti.
That was a source of his strength. But what was the strength in his action?
Devotional sense.
That's how he got the strength. But what did he do?
Forgive.
Okay, so one beautiful quality is that he immediately forgave Durvasa Muni. Now, typically when we forgive somebody, we hold back. I did nothing wrong, why I should forgive? That is petty mentality. What is a devotional mentality? Did Ambarish Maharaj do anything wrong? No. But still he forgave. Had no problem. So one is forgive. But Ambarish Maharaj also did one other thing.
Not react.
He did not react. That means he was sense controlled?
Yes.
Fully or a little bit?
Fully.
Durvasa Muni pulled a hair from his head and invoked a demon to kill him. And Ambarish Maharaj? Okay, this is Krishna's plan. This is Durvasa Muni's plan. I am prepared to accept it. This was the extent of his sense control. How many of us, in the midst of that, would not at least run in fear? Protest. Hey, I did nothing wrong. Present my case. But Durvasa Muni was fully sense controlled. And he simply said, okay. And what happened to that demon? It killed Ambarish Maharaj?
No.
What happened? Sudarshan Chakra.
It's
What-
predicted.
Sudarshan Chakra just came from thin air? Huh?
Krishna said.
Krishna sent to protect his devotee. This is the reciprocation. When we go sense controlled, Krishna doesn't let us off. He has fully embraced us. Durvasa Muni did not even, Ambarish Maharaj did not even play, "Oh Krishna, help me." He did not even ask Krishna for help. Because he knew. Just like a child in home. Child doesn't have to say, "Mother, will we eat today?" The child knows mother will give. That is love. He doesn't have to ask. So Ambarish Maharaj knew. Krishna knows everything. He knows what's happening. He'll protect if he wants to. If he doesn't, he must have a better reason. So he didn't even pray to Krishna. But Krishna came and destroyed that demon. And then that chakra went after Durvasa Muni, as we talked. So it's clear who's stronger in this battle?
Who controls the senses?
Controls the senses. And how, now we all came to earlier, how was Ambarish Maharaj so sense controlled? Was he sitting in meditation intensely to control the senses? What was he doing?
It's Ekadasi Vijayam.
That is the Vrata. But what was Ambarish Maharaj doing to control his senses? How did he develop that extent of sense
He
control?
put all his senses Krishna's devotee.
Like what?
He sees Krishna's
Like what?
form with the eyes.
Consciousness.
No, consciousness is just thinking. But huh? He practiced. Yeah, so he developed the capability through practice. And what did he practically do in his practice?
Hands cleansing the temple of the Lord.
He was using his hands to clean the temple of the Lord.
Ears is hearing the pastimes of the Lord.
Using his ears to hear the pastimes of the Lord.
Eyes seeing the form of the Lord.
Eyes to see next movie? Cricket match?
His body is touching.
Wait. What did he use his eyes for?
Seeing the Lord.
Seeing the form of the Lord. So is Ambarish Maharaj stopping his senses? No. How did he become sense controlled? By engaging them. Actively. Every one of his senses. Ambarish Maharaj was a king. He had big responsibilities. He could not sit idle in a cave, meditating, trying to control the senses. He had to rule the kingdom. He was ruling the kingdom. How many of our rulers in this world are ruling with sense control? Maybe one or two. Very few. In sense, they are ruling for sense enjoyment. The feeling of power, the thrill of control. And that is why we see so much corruption. So Ambarish Maharaj's strength came from using his senses, not from dulling the senses. Actually using them in devotional life. Now, this is a beautiful example of the strength of Krishna's devotees. Is there anyone stronger in the world than Krishna's devotees? We can get some, muscular bodybuilder. Is stronger than Krishna's devotee? How strong was Hiranyakashipu? Hiranyakashipu was so strong that when he just raised his eyebrow like this, all the devatas, they became fearful. They started shaking and crying. So strong Hiranyakashipu was. But who defeated Hiranyakashipu?
5 years boys.
5-year-old boy. And what was his strength? remembering Krishna at all times. So this controlling of the senses, is it difficult or easy? Trick question. Difficult or easy? Easy. But who makes it difficult? We do. We make it difficult. But actually it's very easy. With a little bit of discipline. A little bit of discipline. That discipline will be rewarded many, many times more. Even to enjoy our material senses, how much discipline is needed? We have to wake up every day and get to the office on time. Is that discipline? We have to complete projects by certain deadlines. Is that discipline? We have to then take the income and use it intelligently so we don't end up in a bankrupt situation. Is that discipline? So discipline is required in all activities, material activities or spiritual activities. But what do we want? We think, oh, when Krishna wants me to, then I'll do. We didn't say that when it came to, earning our income in the office. We didn't say that by getting ourselves through college. We didn't say that in all these other affairs. So we have to put forth our effort with nice disciplined effort and just have full faith and confidence that discipline will be rewarded handsomely through enhanced enjoyment, happiness, bliss. Because the next 2 verses are going to talk about the catastrophic result of uncontrolled senses. We've already seen it in the world, just analyzing around us. You take any problem in the world and you can draw the root of that problem to lust and uncontrolled senses. Anything. But next 2 verses, we're going to see systematically how that happens. How, when the senses roam, how it leads to our complete destruction. Who's ready? Everybody looking forward to those verses? They're very important. Okay? So let's stop there. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada. Any comments, questions, discussion? Let's have some discussion.
When was this incident during Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga?
I don't remember. It's in this pastime comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto. So Srila Vyasadeva is explaining. I want to say Trita Yuga because it's coming right near the pastime of Lord Ramchandra, but I cannot say definitively, so I don't want to comment. But this pastime is discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Shukadev Goswami is explaining this as he's preparing to enter into Krishna Leela's pastimes in the 10th canto.
Till now, Krishna is advising to do anything by himself, not that God will protect, Krishna will protect anyone, but Arjuna has to do by himself, not that Krishna will protect anyone. So we'll have to do our own duty rather than depending on Krishna. But in this story it says that we'll have to just surrender to Krishna, not to ourselves. So is it a contradiction?
No. Krishna is telling Arjuna, if you read in the 11th chapter, what does Krishna tell Arjuna? All these warriors have already been put to death by my arrangement. So then one would ask, then why Arjuna should fight? Because Arjuna should become the instrument of Krishna's plan. That is what Krishna says. Krishna wants Arjuna to get the credit. But who is really doing? We are not doing it. What can we do on our own? Krishna is not telling Arjuna, you do on your own, good luck. What do we have the ability to do on our own? You can put forth your effort. But even that effort, actually, if we go back all the way or forward, in the 18th chapter, Krishna will explain the 5 constituents of action. If I want to move my hand like this, can I move my hand like this? Am I moving the hand? Looks like it, right? But actually, what is my role in moving my hand? Desire. I desire. Somebody has to sanction that. Who is that somebody? Can you fire the neurons in your brain down the spinal cord to twitch the muscles and move the hand? Can you control that? Can any of you control that? No. We have no control of that. You put food into your mouth and eat. Can you control the digestion? Can you control the extraction of nutrients to power the cells in your body to give your energy? Any of you control that? Who's controlling that? Our false ego thinks I am the doer. But we should understand. Just analyze on your own. If you can't acknowledge Krishna is doing, at least you basically can acknowledge you're not doing. We are not doing. That's the extent of our doing. So Krishna is not telling Arjuna, you do and good luck. He is saying, you work according to my plan. Because my plan is best for you, Arjuna. If you want to work according to your plan, you have that free will. So the choice is Arjuna's. But Krishna has a plan for each of us. And we have a plan for each of us. Whose plan is better? 5-year-old child in a home has a plan. Mother and father has a plan. Between 5-year-old child and mother and father, whose plan is better? 5-year-old child is convinced whose plan is better? His plan. My plan of eating ice cream every day is best plan. I'm convinced it's the right plan. So in my immature consciousness, I think my plan is better than mother and father's plan. But we know whose plan is better? So in our own life, we have our plans. If you want to make Krishna laugh, what should we do? Tell him a nice joke? Just tell him your plan. So better, what do? We say, Krishna, I know my plan is not as good as your plan. You please tell me your plan. And I'll act accordingly. This is the best of consciousness. Not, Krishna, your plan is best, you do it. No. Allow me to work according to your plan. So how do we know what Krishna's plan is for us? We call Krishna. 1-800 Krishna. Krishna, what do you want me to do now? Arjuna was there hearing that. How do we know what Krishna's plan is for us? Okay, I can read Bhagavad Gita, but that doesn't tell me what I should do tomorrow in the office. Should I, go for the promotion, but it's going to take away time from my chanting or not? I get some principles about it. So how do I know how it applies to me? What do I need? How do I know what Krishna wants me to do in that instant? Huh? We must have Guru. That's what Krishna says, 4th chapter. That one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. Tadvini paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upakdekshante ganam jnaninas tattadarshinaha. Because the Guru is connected to Krishna. He'll engage us in Krishna's plan. But that has to be our choice. Am I ready to?
Can't Bhagavad Gita itself be a guru, bona fide guru? Or it should be through understanding
Who spoke Bhagavad Gita?
Krishna?
And Krishna says, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. Did he say one should? One might want to consider? He said one must. If Krishna wanted the Bhagavad Gita to be the exclusive guide for activities, then he would have made it that way. Right? But within the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 4, he says, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. And what did Krishna and Balaram do? What did Lord Ramchandra do? What did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do? They show by example. So this is the only option.
And that bona fide guru should always come from the lineage.
Evam parampara praptim imam rajarsa viduhu sakaha neha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. Krishna says, don't accept some random bogus guru who promises some miracle. It's not a business transaction. Guru must come in parampara, lineage, not family lineage, not genetics. Genetics is on the body platform, on spiritual lineage. Guru disciple, guru disciple, guru disciple, guru disciple. That's evam parampara. So Krishna has established 4 bona fide sampradayas, 4 lineages. You can accept Guru in any of the 4. Then go back home, back to Godhead. But without Guru, it cannot happen. It cannot happen. So we studying under Srila Prabhupada are coming in the Brahma Madhya Gauda Vaishnava Sampradaya. But that is not the exclusive sampradaya. There are other sampradayas also. There's some unique potency in this sampradaya. It's a different topic. But you must accept from one of these 4. I cannot just go, oh, this person is a guru there, they're coming up with some good knowledge, I'll go take from them. I must ask, who is your guru? Who is their guru? Who is a guru's guru? Just like Srila Prabhupada does on page 30. What does he do? He establishes how the lineage is connected to Krishna. If the parampara is not connected to Krishna, no good. No good. Okay? Any other questions or comments?
So, we are hearing so many things that this higher taste and all, but sometimes we are not able to control senses. What is that reason? Because of Sukruti or past karma or it is like.
If you go to Sukruti past karma, now I am blaming someone else. We have to take control of our position, situation. Stop passing the buck because of this issue, this issue, this issue. No. In the business world, people talk about being passive versus proactive versus reactive. Reactive is, I can't do my job because of this issue, that issue. Proactive, just do it and figure it out. So be proactive. Why the higher taste is not coming? Rupa Goswami explains. When you have jaundice and you eat the sugar cube, how does it taste? Bitter. And when you taste the bitter neem leaf, how does that taste? Sweet. Is the bitter neem leaf sweet? But it tastes sweet because of my jaundice. Similarly, Right now, spiritual activities may taste a little bit bitter. And sense enjoyment may taste sweet. Why? Is there a jaundice? What is our jaundice-like condition? Avidya, ignorance. But to cure jaundice, how does the doctor cure jaundice? Keep giving sugar pills. When you keep giving sugar pills, then you'll cure the jaundice. And then, initially it might taste bitter, but once you're cured, how does that sugar pill taste? Sweet. So what is actually sweet will taste sweet. But right now, what is actually bitter is tasting sweet. Because I'm in a jaundice-like condition. So how to... Can we stop that? So how to cure this condition? Okay, yes, chanting our rounds every day early in the morning, going to temple. Yeah, that may taste a little bit bitter at first. But understand, that is the real sweetness. And by doing so, just like the sugar cube tasting bitter to the jaundice patient will cure the jaundice, similarly, taking to spiritual life now will bring out the real sweet taste. That is what Rupa Goswami tells us. So, we are not responsible with our free will. Right? With our free will, we make so many decisions that we say, why I decided that? So what to do? That's why we accept Guru. Because Guru says, okay, you do these things. If Guru did not make us do these things, we wouldn't do them. So we surrender our free will. That is the best thing. So next time we become sense enjoyment, we cannot blame my Sukriti, blame my surroundings. No, take control. Be disciplined. Be disciplined. And then see how Krishna reciprocates. But if we keep saying, when Krishna wants me to, then it will happen. When Krishna blesses me with the strength, then it will happen. Next time you're hungry and your spouse doesn't make dinner, are you going to say, next when Krishna wants me to eat, I'll eat? You'll do that? So we conveniently use Krishna as the reason. We conveniently use. Let us not do that. Take responsibility. Okay? Any other questions? Yes.
It says about intelligence. And fixes his conscience upon me. Krishna is known as a man of study intelligence.
What's that?
Krishna, he says, fixes his conscience upon me, is known as a man of study intelligence. So intelligence, was it not from knowledge?
Yeah.
So he's saying about intelligence here. It's just a conscious. We need to have a consciousness on Krishna, and that will create intelligence. So, but actually, it was from the knowledge, correct?
No, it takes intelligence to know I should focus my mind on Krishna. Right?
Yeah.
That takes intelligence. Right now I'm focusing my mind on everything but Krishna. So how I'll come to know I should focus my mind. So knowledge strengthens my intelligence. Right? And with intelligence, then the mind can be controlled. Mind says do this, do that, do this, do that. But intelligence has to decide no and yes. So we have to make the intelligence strong. Otherwise it becomes overruled by the mind. And what strengthens the intelligence? Knowledge. Right? So when I know about Krishna, I cannot just focus my mind on Krishna without knowing about Krishna. I first have to know who is he, why I should focus my mind on him. What is it? I need to learn. As I acquire knowledge, then my intelligence strength is like, yes, this is the path to success. Right? So knowledge fuels and builds our intelligence. And intelligence leads us to find more knowledge. Right? So they're kind of self-propagating. Make sense? Because it's not just blindly. We can't just blindly say, oh, I'm going to concentrate my mind on Krishna. No, I have to know who is Krishna. What am I supposed to concentrate on? Right? Those things must happen. Any other questions, comments?
So, if I read the books, is it not enough? We should connect to Guru? Or,
You just answered that.
okay.
Is it enough to read the books?
No.
Reading the books is very important to bring us to the point of taking that step. But let me ask you, the gopis of Vrindavan, how many books did they read? Zero. They had pure love. Because in our contaminated state, we need to purify the heart and consciousness. So this knowledge is essential. Mother Yashoda, she studied Srimad Bhagavatam every day? No, while she was doing her work, she was constantly remembering Krishna and singing songs about how he was enjoying in the forest and how he had destroyed so many demons. And just, that's her natural consciousness. Right?
So, what is the delta thing that we get from the Guru, apart from reading the Bhagavad Gita? Is it based upon the experience what the Guru gives us through the teachings, or that he elaborates the Bhagavad Gita, or what is that delta thing that Guru puts in so that we can be on the right path?
Sarvasya chaham ridisha nivishta matashmatya jnanam apohanam cha. Krishna says that I am seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. And I am the source of knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So, Krishna is sitting in his heart as Paramatma. And he explains that who is Guru? Guru is the personification of Paramatma. It is the representation of Chaitya Guru. Because I cannot understand what Paramatma is telling me. But I can understand what Guru might be telling me. So the Guru is empowered. Sakshad Harit Vena. He has the power, the Sakti of Hari. He is not Hari. He is not God. But he is empowered by God. In order to reveal to us what God's message is for us. And Krishna says in that verse, Stadvini Paripatena Paripashtena Sevana Upakdeshanti Tegana Jnana Tattva Darshinaha. Tattva Darshan. Because they have seen the truth, they can reveal it to us. If there's a giant treasure hidden in the forest there, who can show you where that treasure is?
Already seen that.
Someone who has seen it. They can show you. So who can show us Krishna? One who is Tattva Darshina. One who has seen, understood the truth. They can show. So what Guru does is connects us back to Krishna. Guru is a postman. Understand? When you get a letter in the mail, does the postman write the letter? They're simply carrying the letter. What does Guru do? They're carrying the message of Krishna. They're not creating the message. They're not creating the idea. That's useless. Because Krishna's already given everything. It simply has to be passed down. So Guru must be the postman to deliver the message intact. No addition, no subtraction. And so what Guru does actually is connect us directly back to Krishna. If you want to go and serve the president, you don't know how to serve the president. Anybody knows? You need somebody to introduce you, to teach you, to train you. Then you can. So how we can serve Krishna? We need Guru in our life, who will give us the ability. And they are empowered by Krishna. And that is why Guru is required.
So in that case, Guru will also be in search of an Shishya who can take his propagation through this lineage.
Guru does not search out disciples. Guru is not in the business of making followers. That is bogus Guru.
No, to keep the lineage intact, he will also have a responsibility to get into that.
Yeah, of course. Guru will initiate disciples and train them in spiritual life. And of course, empower them to continue the lineage forward. Yeah. So it's like Srila Prabhupada. He trained up so many pure devotees of the Lord to carry this message forward. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Bhagavad Gita, everyone should become learned in this knowledge and become Guru. Because that is the method to push this forward. But Guru must be, again, connected in parampara. It is not some cheap thing, some, show business thing. It's a very serious matter. One of the meanings of Guru means heavy. It is also the most important and most blissful experience of your life when you accept Guru into your life. I can speak about Guru Tattva for a few more hours, so I don't want to take up all of your evening. Any other questions on this, or do you have any follow-up? We can discuss more. So let us chant and make some progress in controlling our senses. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Adanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda.